up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Critical Conversations. Who would have thought that this dog and pony show would last for a whole 3 episodes? I think that's one more episode than we've done of Neo-Magnetic. So far, Critical Conversations is the winner. Thanks for joining me, Grace. How are you?
Oh, I am so good. Thank you for having me. I feel honored. I feel this is a very prestigious event. I'm very excited.
It is. I mean, we've got a whole backlog of celebrities that are sort of lined up. I don't want to name names, but one of them rhymes with Park Wahlberg. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, well, I feel honored that you made space for me over a capitalist tycoon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to prioritize. And unlike some people, I have my priorities straight, and that is to those true legends of the Critverse, of which you are one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but were you not in one of the very first streams on this channel?
I was in the very first stream
on this
channel. The very first episode, the very first stream. Yeah, I was honored. It was an honor. And it's still one of my favorite things about my week is coming to do D&D with all my friends here at the Critverse. Yeah, couldn't live without it. It's like one of the things you're at work and you're like, ugh. And then I'm like, ooh, I have D&D on Saturday. Yes.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A glowing testimony from one of our loyal fans.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's what's that? 2021, I think we went live. Was it 2020?
Oh, I think it was 2021.
Or 2. Oh, it was one of those. It was one of those anyway. Amongst Shadow and Stone, and yeah, you were one of the first people on, and I think you were the last person still standing at the end of that episode. So, congratulations to you. I imagine you probably spend many long hours sort of questioning your life choices. The fact that you're, sort of still hanging out with us old people.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, I think I am the youngest person on this channel. Well, the youngest, I guess, I don't know, a personality, actor, the thing on this channel. Not mad about it. It's just, sometimes I forget and I say things and you guys get really confused. And I'm like, oh, I forgot, you're all, elderly.
Yeah, I mean, when you say sometimes, I mean 90% of the time, I'm a little bit confused about what's going on. But that's the thing about playing Dungeons and Dragons is I never really know what's going on. I just say a bunch of things, and then sometimes it works out in the end. Most of the time it doesn't. But like I said, I can edit those moments out, and that's the fun
100%
of doing live streams and recordings like that. You can edit out all the parts that are embarrassing. Well, I can do that. You can't, but I can.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Thank you so much for being such a amazing member and representative. It means so much to me that I could not only bring such amazing and talented people together in sort of one gaming community, but the fact that this community has such loyalty from the people that make it is just phenomenal. And it surprises me every single day when I jump back on and people are like, we playing tonight, and they're still so excited about jumping on and playing and doing all that kind of stuff. It's it really is. You've said the word honored a few times. So I guess I'll have to use that. That pretty much sums it up. It's really great.
Yeah, and it's still so funny, being a part of this stuff. I think I've told you, I've actually been recognized once.
Oh, you have?
And it was so weird. Yeah, I've been recognized once. It was so weird. It was at Body Shop. I was serving somebody. She's like, your voice sounds familiar. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I don't know, just something about you seems really familiar. And I was actually wearing the Crit and Miss shirt that day. It was a really weird set of circumstances. Yeah, that exact shirt. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're Grace." And I'm like, "Yep, that's what it says on my name tag." And she's like, "No, you're Thrash." And I'm like, I forget that part of my personality exists.
You know, a lot of people who have personality identity dissociation disorder do forget those parts of their identity. So, you know, you just want to get rid of those emotions and leave it at the wayside. But no, congratulations on being a celebrity.
I know, it was so weird. I was like, "Here, take your shower gel and we're gonna pretend this didn't happen." And then my boss was like, "Oh, you got recognized. What was that for?" And I'm like, "It was for my Dungeons and Dragons thing." And then they do what like every non-Dungeons and Dragons player does, where their eyes just start glazing over when you start getting excited, and you just like continue talking.
Yeah, I know the look well, and you know, when you play Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPGs, you're probably very familiar with that look as well, and you're also probably pretty experienced with just ignoring that look and just continuing to blather on about this thing that you're so passionate about that makes absolutely no sense to anyone at all. It's great at work parties and stuff like that. Really, really good icebreaker. Speaking of icebreakers, that's something that we do here at Critical Conversations. I don't know if you've watched any of the last couple of episodes with Loki or Froth, but we've brought in an icebreaker question for Critical Conversations.
I love icebreakers.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I do like breaking things.
Breaking things is great.
So let's do this. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've asked some controversial questions of the others to try and unnerve them, but both of them, you know, being the professional DMs, GMs, whatever you want to call them, that they were completely just stone cold, just, you know, played. I asked Froth what his most embarrassing moment was, and he just rattled it off. He had absolutely no problems, and that's the thing about playing D&D. So I want to be doing something a little bit different this time. What I'm going to do, I've got my copy of the Player's Handbook right here. I'm going to give you...
shit. I love how you pick the one DM who regularly is like, "Rules are not an object to me, I fucking hate them." I love how you pick the one DM on the channel that's like, "I fucking hate the rules."
Yep, exactly. That's exactly why I did it, because I know how to make good content, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I'm the best there is. That's why Mark Wahlberg wants a piece of this. I've got my copy of the Player's Handbook right here. I'm going to give you 10 common items out of the Player's Handbook without cheating.
Oh, fuck.
I want you to tell me what their value is in gold pieces.
Oh shit, this is okay, sure, 100%, 100.
For the audience that are listening on Spotify or whatever, I'm holding up my copy of the Wizards of the Coast approved Player's Handbook for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, so you can all see that everything's above board here. All right, so
before I answer, I just want to say I'm a very good DM, but I think I've read the Player's Handbook once, and I hated it. And I have never read it again. It sits on my shelf. I just don't read it. But I'm a very good DM, I promise.
All right, you've read it once more than I have, so you've got one up on me there. I had to brush the dust off this thing before I pulled it off my shelf.
I feel like as a DM, you don't use the player's guide nearly as much as you want to.
Look, as a DM, number one rule for being a GM in Dungeons & Dragons or any other tabletop role-playing game is just be confident with the thing that you just made up, and your players will believe you.
I agree.
So don't even bother reading this. Just make it up as you go along. Just do it confidently, and everyone will just go along with it. But no, these books do exist. I found an ancient copy of it myself, and I've decided to do this for our icebreaker question. So, are you ready?
Love it. Sure. Why not?
I can see you furiously typing into Google.
No, we're gonna do this. Nah, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a red hot go.
All right.
Why not?
You're a good sport. All right, let's find out. We're gonna go with something easy to start off with. A mug of ale.
Oh, okay. I know this one. Because it's always like new players handing over the bar like 10 gold pieces, and the bar wench just like fucking passes out because that's like 1,000 gold. I swear, no, it is in gold pieces. It's not in copper. It's
It can
just
be
in gold.
any monetary value.
Probably 1 gold or less. 1 gold or less is definitely my guess.
Shall we lock in 1 gold then?
Yeah.
1 gold. Okay. 1 mug of ale is 4 copper pieces.
Ah, I did say or less. So I'm still right.
That's
so
something that I've gotten wrong in the past as well, because I always forget this. Everyone always wants to buy a mug of ale when they go to the tavern, and I'm like, that's a gold piece. Not remembering that 1 gold piece is technically like 1,000 Australian dollars in equivalent. So
yeah, it's so much.
It is a lot. But
I think particularly with like Baldur's Gate 3, where there's like no copper, there's no like platinum, it's only gold.
It's all gold.
So it feels like so much less.
I guess that's why there's so many taverns in these fantasy settings, because they make a killing of all these new players.
Yeah.
All right, let's try and find the rest of the items here. Okay, what have we got? Okay, here we go. Item number 2. A vial of acid.
Oh.
We're talking about the kind of
acid
that you coat your weapon with, not the kind of acid that you coat yourself with when you go to a music festival.
Yeah, and not the kind of acid that you eat when you have like a rumbly tummy.
Not that kind of acid either.
No. It's not drow. Just to clarify, it's not drow. It's just regular. Okay, well that's poison. Yep, I'm gonna shut up now and just answer the question. Regular acid. Probably like, it's acid. It's corrosive. Like 10 gold pieces?
That your final answer?
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock that one in.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 vial of acid, 25 gold pieces.
That is a fucking ripoff.
It is extortion,
it's
isn't it? It's acid, yeah.
That is highway robbery.
It really is. It really is. Especially when you can go to Elders and get yourself a liter of hydrochloric acid for, half that price.
Most wizards can cast acid-based spells. Can't you just like into a bottle and then it's like free? Like.
Yeah, I guess you could just into a bottle and yeah. They have banks for that kind of thing, but I guess you could do that if you're a wizard. What else do we have here? Let's go with it's an item that every adventurer should have in their pack. A bedroll. What does a bedroll cost?
That'd be in the coppers. Definitely. I'm gonna say 1 gold piece again, because I know it's gonna be coppers.
Okay.
And I just don't know how much.
Locking that one in?
Yeah.
All right. A bedroll is 1 gold piece.
Oh, yo!
That's 1 out of 3. Good work. That makes you a better DM than me.
2 out of 3. I got the first one right.
No. We locked in 1 gold piece.
I said 1 or less. No, I said 1 or less.
We're not doing over under here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going for a stipulated value. Otherwise, you could just be like, it could be 100 gold pieces or less, and you're pretty certain you're going to be right.
That's fair. That is fair. That is fair.
All right. So look, if at the end of the day we need something to tip you over the edge, we'll say that's a success. But I'm going to say right now.
You know what? I'll call it one win. One win. This
one
is
win.
fair.
That sounds fair.
One win.
All right. Let's go with something a little bit different here. A grappling hook. If I wanted to buy a grappling hook in Beware the Witching Hour, what would you charge me?
What's it made out of?
Steel, iron. It doesn't necessarily say. I'm going to say it's a length. No, not even a length of rope. Just the actual grappling hook itself. Just an iron grappling hook.
Just the grappling hook. Like, if it's just the grappling hook, like 5 gold pieces.
All right, locking in 5 gold pieces. The
Yeah.
grappling hook, according to the player's handbook of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, is 2 gold pieces.
Okay, well that's a little bit more generous. I was about to complain about how you're supposed to adventure in this economy, but apparently the player's handbook is actually quite fair.
Supply and
And
demand.
I'm actually a bitch.
No, don't worry. You know, when you always gotta haggle. You always gotta start high and hope that the players sort of haggle with you. It makes for a thrilling role playing experience. All right, here we go. Magnifying glass.
Oh. 2 gold pieces.
10,000.
Gemma is pitching in with 10,000 gold pieces. You're going with 2, was it?
2.
2 gold pieces. All right, locking that one
Surely.
in. A magnifying glass. If you want to be able to see things slightly larger than what they are in real life, that's going to cost you 100 gold pieces.
Are you fucking for real?
Absolutely.
Please tell me you were joking.
I'm not making this stuff up. It's right here in the player's handbook.
What the fuck?
Page 150 for the at-home audience. If you want to look it up yourself, if you want to be able to read small handwriting, it's going to cost you 100 gold pieces.
I mean, or you could just cast like prestidigitation and make the words appear larger.
Or you could do that. You could
For
buy
free.
yourself some
It's
glasses.
a cantrip. So.
I want to okay, this is a good one. You might know this one. It's a good one to follow that up with. Potion of healing. How much would you charge me for a potion of healing?
I'm totally not checking the Baldur's Gate right now.
No, please do.
For a frame of reference. I'm totally not.
Do you seriously have Baldur's Gate open on the screen right now?
Yes, I do. I do seriously. I'm not playing it. It's just there. I just like to stare at Astarion's face when I think about things. No. I'm just gonna check as a frame of reference. Let's see.
Well, let's see if Larian even knows what a healing potion's worth.
Okay, so allegedly 40 gold pieces. I feel like that's a little much. So I'm thinking 30 gold pieces.
We're thinking 30 gold pieces. Larian's locking in 40 gold pieces.
Yeah.
I can tell you this much, it's a good thing Larian's not making any more D&D based games, because a potion of healing is 50 gold pieces. They're selling themselves short.
Oh,
And
that's actually very generous.
I wanna point out here as well, magnifying glass to be able to see something slightly larger than it actually is twice as much as a magical potion that can literally save you from being murdered. So,
like, that's ridiculous. I wonder how much a scroll of Revivify is now. I'm very curious. Look, 200 gold pieces.
I'm not doing the maths on that one.
If you are at a store and you're just about to, like, I don't know, kill Gortash and you're stocking up, and
Don't know why
you
you would.
have the choice between, yeah, I know, he's He's kind of quiche. Anyway, have the choice between a magnifying glass or 2 scrolls of revivify. You could get literally 2 magnifying glasses to 1 scroll of revivify. That is ridiculous to me.
Well, you know, some people really value and treasure their ability to read fine handwriting.
Just prestidigitation.
All right, so following on from that controversy, if a magnifying glass is 100 gold pieces, what could you expect to pay for a spyglass?
Oh. Well, I mean, the Monopoly man wears one, so surely it's upcharged because fancy.
No, not a monocle. We're not talking about a monocle. We're talking about a pirate spyglass. You know, one of those ones. That
like a telescope.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 100 for a magnifying glass. 150.
150
It's got more metal.
for locking that one in for a spyglass. Okay. To be able to identify friend from foe on the high seas is going to set you back 1,000 gold pieces.
But
Not making
who
this up.
can adventure in this economy? That is ridiculous.
I'm not making this stuff up. You can literally buy magical items for less than that, which I think is absolutely phenomenal.
That is ridiculous.
I guess
this is the coast. What are you doing?
The economy is just bad for the people that are, hard of seeing, I suppose. Don't.
Oh my god.
Don't be somewhat blind in the Forgotten Realms. They got really bad ocular devices.
I suppose, I get it, because, I guess back then, well, it doesn't really take place in, a linear time frame similar to ours, but, smelting glass back then was very difficult, so I can understand why it would be that way, that makes sense, but also, is it gold encrusted? Is it gonna pay my taxes? For $1,000, it better be,
Yeah, there was a time in our history where a spyglass was a very, very rare and expensive item just because of the materials needed to make it. But I feel like in a universe where magic can literally transport someone across the world in the blink of an eye, I feel like that might devalue the cost of the glass, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, but particularly, if you're a cleric and you take Twilight Domain, at first level, you get Devil's Sight that you can share with, up to 6 people. And Devil's Sight is, what's it? It's, fucking 100 meters or something. It's, pretty, you can see fucking everything with Devil's Sight. So, I feel like that would almost, negate the eyeglass a little.
Well,
I don't know, petition for the fucking telescope to be down in price, because that is ridiculous.
I'll tell you what, when we make our own tabletop RPG system, our spyglasses are going to be far more affordable than those of Wizards of the Coast. So if that's not a good reason to invest in our intellectual property over that of
I agree.
Wizards of the Coast, I don't know what is.
100%.
Yeah, keep your eyes on affordable spyglasses on the Critverse.
That'll be the tagline.
Future.
It'll be our spyglasses are affordable.
People will flock to us by the dozens, hundreds of thousands
It'll
of
be
people.
funded in under a second.
That's great. That's going to be a tagline. Okay, so considering a spyglass is 1,000 gold pieces, what could you expect to pay for a greatsword?
Oh. I'm going to be severely disappointed by this, aren't I? Just a regular old greatsword. Probably 200-300 gold, but no, you know what, if a spyglass is 1,000, surely a gold, no, because you can get enchanted weapons for more than that. 300 gold, 400 gold, yeah, 400 gold, locking it in.
400 gold.
400.
A two-handed greatsword, 50 gold pieces.
Are you?
Yep.
How do they make this stuff up, man? How do
Um,
they fucking?
And the last one that we're gonna do here, I wasn't counting. That's 10-ish. What would you charge someone if they were playing in one of your D&D games if they wanted to purchase a warship?
Jesus Christ. Okay. Just
Well,
hear me out.
Jesus, Mark,
Oh.
whoever's playing in your game.
Hear me out. Give me like the basic parameters for this warship, right? Is it just like a really dodgy deal where this dude pulls you over an alley and is like, "Oh, I've got some warships here for you. You pay like 2,000 gold, and it's literally just a ship with like no cannons, no rudder. It's just a fucking oblong thing floating in the ocean," or is it actually like a fully put together cannons, rudder, wheel, mast? Like, tell me about this ship.
It doesn't really specify, but I'm going to assume that if it's in the player's handbook, it probably comes with all the accessories that you would expect that
Yeah.
a warship would come with. I believe a warship might have something like a mangonel on the front or something along those lines. So fully equipped
So it's gonna have
warship.
cannons and everything.
I'll give you a bit of a hint.
Yeah.
A rowboat is 50 gold pieces. A keel boat is 3,000 gold pieces. What do you think a warship is worth?
Oh god. It's a big boat. That's a big boat, that is. How about 50,000 gold pieces?
50,000?
50,000.
You just lost yourself a sale there, miss, because I can get a good warship down the road for 25,000 gold pieces. Down at
That is so freaking ridiculous.
Fantasy Lexus.
That is so fucking ridiculous. You can buy a warship, or you could buy 25,000 magnifying glasses.
Or 25 spyglasses.
That is so fucking ridiculous.
I know which one is the easier product to ship. Pardon the pun. But that has been tonight's round of Guess That Value with Grace. Grace, you got 1 out of however many questions that was. So you win a Toyota Prius. Congratulations. Yay.
Oh, cool.
That's the kind of prizes that we can give it away here at Crit and Press Role Playing Games because we are just rolling in money. So how do you feel about those values? I think we've got a pretty good idea of what you think about those values.
That's fucking ridiculous. That is.
Ridiculous. But hey, that's what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. That's what playing tabletop role-playing games is all about. It's all about indulging ourselves in a little bit of ridiculousness, and that's exactly what we did. Not last week, not even the week before
The week
that.
before.
Before that, yeah, we came back, of course, with a brand new story and a brand new season of Beware the Witching Hour. That's right. If you haven't already seen it, if you didn't happen to watch it live, that's okay because it's up on YouTube already. You can check that out right there. We had some returning cast members. We had a couple of new ones, including, of course, Gem and Liquor Witch. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it was one of, if not the most spicy episodes that I've ever been a part of right here on the channel. It was berserk. So if you haven't already checked it out, make sure you jump onto YouTube and check that out right now. How did you feel that went? Were you excited to come back with Beware the Witching Hour?
I was. That episode was freaking mental, bruv. It was great. I'm always so like astounded how I prepare. I spent hours like preparing all this stuff, and I like sit there and I'm like, is it gonna be enough? And then I'm like, I get there, and you guys did like a quarter of what I had planned. And I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
This is great.
But then you fall into that trap, right? I don't know if you've done this, where you over prepare and you do like you said 1/8 of the entire thing that you've prepared, and you're like, well, I don't need to prepare for next episode. I'll be fine. And then you get to the next episode, and about 10 minutes in, you're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? There's like sweat dripping down your brow. Your hands are shaking, and you're making everything up at the end of the episode. I don't know about you, but I've done that like multiple times. I've fallen into that trap.
I have. Like, I feel like, and this is probably like gonna blow people's minds, because I know it's definitely a few people's like favorite games they've played. But like Ferguson was totally out of my ass completely. Like an hour before the stream started. And that is, to this day, some of like the players on this channel I've heard is that, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but is like one of their favorite D&D moments. And I don't know, it almost makes the case for not preparing, and I sort of like, because that was so fun for people, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't prepare and just like whatever happens happens. But I don't know, I kind of just write dot points now, because it's like I have some idea of where we want to go, because you guys always end up coming up with something that I would never thought of, and then it's just a big game of yes and, which is so much fun for me. I feel like DMs don't have enough fun when they play Dungeons and Dragons sometimes, because like I like to think of it as the DMs playing as well. So like it can be, you know, kind of isolating just telling the story and railroading people. So I always think it's so fun when the players come up with stuff, because it gives me a chance to go, oh my god, what would that look like? And then I have to sort of on the spot make up all this stuff that would make sense and is still fun and engaging for everybody playing. Yeah,
finding that right balance between prepared content and also, you know, allowing room for improvisation and making things up when the opportunity presents itself is a very, very difficult balance to strike. And I know a lot of GMs have a very different approach to how they do that kind of thing. Some GMs, they like to have a very pre-prepared story that they want to tell. They have copious amounts of notes, everything written down, and if they have players who are happy to engage with that kind of thing, then they can tell a phenomenal story. But it also comes down to what the players want as well, and it's always important as a GM to have that conversation with your players, you know, before you start, that this story is either going to be, you know, very well prepared beforehand, and it would be nice if you could sort of follow that whilst, you know, adding your own flavor to it, or this story, I'm just making this up as I go along. And I think you were pretty clear with where you stood with Beware the Witching Hour. I know that there is a general storyline that you would like us to explore, but our pacing and how we approach that will open up sometime
for sure,
very, very soon.
Like, my notes for Beware the Witching Hour are hag number 1, hag number 2, hag number 3.
Spoiler
so
alert, there's 3 hags.
I
got you. I tricked you.
Like, I'm even toying with the idea of, like, whether or not I want to keep the circus in, or whether or not we just skip straight to the fun stuff. Like, I feel like that's something that I'm gonna let you guys decide, because I'm like, you know, we could do it, or like, you know, they may not want to fool around with all that stuff. Like, because, you know, the circus bit is fun. It is very fun, but it is just kind of like, it can be a lot, and there's a lot of content there, and it's a lot of very, like, hard and fast content, but it's also, like, such a fun role play thing for the players to do, and it's such a good way to, like, for the players to get to know each other. But the way I've sort of rewritten the universe, it's kind of like, it's not obsolete, but it would almost just be like a fun little side quest. Like, you'd still get relevant information, but it's kind of like, I'm not really sure where it would fit in. But yeah, no, it's definitely very non-linear, player-led. Like, if you guys rocked up to the stream one day and were like, hey, you know, we're kind of getting sick of this. Is it okay if we just tumble through a rabbit hole into Curse of Strahd? I'd be like, fucking bitchin', and then we'd make it happen.
And just to be clear, that's a positive reaction, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That is a positive reaction.
Okay, wasn't sure.
No, like seriously, it's so player-led. Like, if you guys rocked up one day and said, we want to explore the Astral Sea today, I'd be like, let's find a way to make that happen. You know, it's got to be fun for everybody, and again, it's back to the whole, like, the DM's got to have fun, and so do the players. Like, one of the very first games I played in, I felt so sorry for the DM. He spent, like,
Don't worry,
hours before... It's not you. Hours before we rocked up to the session, like planning and all of this, only for him to only for one of the players to like unlock the boss and like kill it in under 10 minutes, which is like honestly fab. We love that kind of stuff, but at the same time, it's like you've just, you know, that DM has spent all that effort coming up with this mechanically interesting homebrew that he's been like thinking about for hours, and it's super cool, and you've just unlocked it and killed it in like less than 2 rounds of combat. Like, for me, that would be super insulting. It's happened to me before, and I felt like somebody kicked me in the balls.
Well, that's why you just have to lie. Just lie.
Yeah.
No.
Not very good at that. Every single game I've DM'd, I am 100% truthful about hit points, and I need to stop doing that.
I say, yeah, you have to lie about it. I generally keep very true to hit points, but I do add them beforehand. But if I add them beforehand, that's what they've got, and that's what I stick with, unless it makes more narrative sense to have something else happen. That is the only time I will change hit points on the fly to make it more dramatic. I will never do it to make it more difficult for the players, because I always find if they find a fun, inventive way of ruining my whole preparation process, taking those hours that I spent, you know, crafting this wonderful make-believe world for them to be in, if they find a way to completely destroy it that falls within the rules, that's okay, because there's always next session for me to kill.
This is true. I mean, I've done so many things that like definitely don't fall in within the purview of the rules that you've allowed me to do, and it still amazes me some of the shit you've allowed me to do. But I don't know, it's like with barbarians, I've said it, it's sometimes playing a barbarian can be boring, and you don't just want to thwack and whack it. I want to come up with inventive ways I can thwack and whack it, which is like, I don't know, pile driving somebody and using my claws to like gouge their eyes out as I rip down. I feel like that's super cool. But yeah, if it's a game of imagination, at the end of the day, like, you know, the whole point of the game is that it's a game of probability. If you roll a dice for it and it comes up with a 20, you can do that because the dice says you can. Like,
well, I guess that depends on the situation, I suppose. But yeah, I think it always leads to more interesting and dynamic storytelling if you can look beyond the bounds of the rules as written. But it does take a lot of brain power to balance that, because of course, as a dungeon master, as a GM, you want to be fair. So I always find that I need to operate within the bounds of the rules. I don't want to go outside of that too much, because of course, as a GM, you have all the power to technically do whatever it is that you want to do. So I find that you are a little bit constricted as a GM to operate within the rules, so that those sort of encounters can be fair. At the same time, I want to encourage the players to be as inventive as possible because, like I said, it leads to those very wild sort of situations that wouldn't come out if we spent 3 to 4 hours saying, I make an attack with my longsword, I rolled a 17 to hit, I do 13 points of damage. That's one of the things, if I'm listening to other people's content, and you'll find this, there's a plethora of Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPG actual plays out there. If it comes time to combat, and that's what they're doing, I disengage straight away.
I totally agree. I feel like that's exactly what people think Dungeons and Dragons is. And like when I talk to like people who don't play Dungeons and Dragons about Dungeons and Dragons, they're like, "Oh, isn't that the game where you roll the dice?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, it is so much more than that." Like I feel like that's what they feel like we do. Is we just sit there and we roll dice and we're like, "Oh, and you killed it. Yay, guys. Let's figure out something else to kill." Like, you know, I feel like it's so much more RPG than it is dice rolling, and I think that's why we have such like a bad rap sometimes, is because it's like, you know, we're not just sitting there rolling dice, like wiping up nosebleeds, snorting into tissues like nerds. Like, you know, we do actually, like, it's a fair bit of like acting and then like community collaboration and like working together and making sure that nobody has the limelight more than anybody else. And like, you know, making sure that like the team is balanced. So like it's not just a team full of druids because druids are squishy. Like, you know, making sure that the team has like a way that flows and works well with each other. And then like you as the DM, like if you know your entire party is druids, making sure that they still get those wins even though you know their party's squishy. Like, or like if you have a new player and they roll a 1, like making sure that that 1 isn't necessarily a fail. Like it's more just like, you know, the situation doesn't amend to the dice roll. I don't know, that's just how I see it anyway.
Yeah, we're not just a bunch of nerds rolling dice. That's
I know.
That's nerdy stuff. We don't do nerd stuff like that. We're fully grown adults who pretend to be wizards and dragons, which is not nerdy at all. No. Embrace the nerd.
I know.
Everyone has a different way of engaging with tabletop role-playing games, and I guarantee you, for those people who have never done it before, it is a lot more difficult than you think. There are a lot more dynamics at play than you could ever imagine until you've actually immersed yourself in that experience. You will find there's all these little just details that a lot of people don't really see on that surface level. They don't really come out to play until you've actually done it for yourself. And everyone, I guess the great thing about tabletop RPGs is everyone engages with it a little bit differently. If you want to sit down and you want to roll dice and play it as, you know, as it's written in the book, and I believe there's a foreword in the player's handbook that actually says play this game however you want. These rules are there for you to engage with or to ignore as you wish. Whatever makes your life better, whatever you enjoy doing more. So everyone does it differently. Some people really enjoy getting down to the nitty-gritty number crunching parts of this system, and I find that sometimes that adds a little bit of tension to encounters. So there are times when I brutally enforce the rules because it can mean the difference between being able to reach something or not being able to reach something on time, which can add tension, which can add drama. But at no point should you allow the rules to override enjoyment. And
No, I totally agree.
That's just life advice.
Yeah.
So kids, never let the rules override your sense of enjoyment. Go out there and just do whatever you find fun.
They're made to be broken. I totally agree. I just, part of me is like, oh, the rules are stupid. We don't need the rules. And then my players do something that's like totally ridiculous, and I'm like, oh, that's why that's there.
Like,
That
ah.
makes a lot of sense.
That's why a spyglass is 1,000 gold pieces.
Yeah, like, it's really weird to me. Like, especially as a baby DM, like, so many DMs on this channel are so experienced and have had like years worth of like time to figure this stuff out, and I'm just a baby. Like, I'm just trying to sort of figure out how everything works and how this stuff best works for me. And yeah, no, I forget the rules are there sometimes.
I don't.
'Cause, like-
I don't think you can call yourself a baby DM anymore. I think you've been doing this now for as long as I had before I started this channel.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in like 2019. So, how long is it? Oh, fuck, that's actually a really long time.
That's longer than me.
Okay, that's actually a very long time. I take it back.
That's 5
I'm a
years.
veteran.
5 years of your life gone. You're never gonna get it back. So yeah, you've been doing
Jesus.
this for longer than I have. But don't even think about starting your own channel. I will shut you down so quickly.
No, I won't. I have literally so much loyalty to this channel. I could never. Like, yeah, this channel means the world to me. I could literally never do that. That blows my mind. I'm 22. That's like a quarter of my entire lifespan. That's
right.
insane. That's mental.
And to think all that experience is being wasted on this Dog and
Oh,
Pony show.
nonsense. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Honestly, I feel like, it's gonna happen one day. Like, I feel like, and that's the thing with Dungeons and Dragons, you never know what's gonna appeal to people. Like, it could be one thing that you say, and all of a sudden we blow up and we're super viral and everybody's watching us. Like, it could happen. It always does.
That's why I try and say as many controversial things as I can in every episode, because controversy sells, ladies and gentlemen. Gods know I'm not going to sell it on the basis of sex, because that's just not going to work. People aren't going to pay for that. But controversy, that might get me a few views.
Sven is just gonna Jojo Siwa his way through running this channel.
I don't know what that means either, but is that a good thing?
No?
No?
Absolutely not. So, for all those like millennials out there, let me just break it down and give you a lesson. So Jojo Siwa was on Dance Moms forever ago, and now she's like singing pop songs. She used to be a child star, but now she's like flicked over and is trying to do like something really edgy and weird. And she's sort of running on this basis of all publicity is good publicity.
It's true.
Which is like, no. Yeah. If you haven't heard a song, it's horrific. It's really bad. The original one's so much better. Would recommend the original version. But yeah, no, it's appalling. It's so bad.
All I'm saying is if I have to make a terrible song, that's not the right word, a terrible song, and slip a little bit of nipple during one of my streams, I will do that if it buys me fame. I will absolutely do that. I am not above doing that. So if someone wants to write me some lyrics, Prince, I know you're not with us anymore, but if you want to write me something good, Purple Rain from Beyond the Grave,
It's been done.
I'm here for
Everything purple's been done. Taylor did purple. Prince did purple. I think it's time for another color. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
We gotta.
Yellow Rain just doesn't have quite the same the same bite to it,
No, totally. It's like yellow snow.
I can see why they went with
No, with the
purple.
yellows.
It can't be mistaken for anything else. So
No.
I think it was a good choice. I've gotten completely sidetracked. What was I talking about again? We were talking about like our process for preparation in D&D. You've been a part of the channel for a long time. You were the GM for Beware the Witching Hour, the first season. You did our I think it was the Christmas special previous year as well, with Arlen Bay from the Dungeon Boys. Haven't done a shout out for the Dungeon Boys for a while. You gotta make sure you check out the Dungeon Boys. They're a podcast from over in the US, and they are absolutely phenomenal. If you want to see a channel where they throw the rules to the side in favor of just having more fun, that is one of the podcasts that you want to check out. They are great. Justine is a great GM. They have a great cast of players, and it's a lot of fun. Just don't let your kids listen to it, because they swear about as much as Grace does. Anyway, where was I? Oh, preparation.
Ouch.
You do swear a lot. For the youngest person on the channel,
I do.
you swear a lot.
I do. I have a potty mouth.
And I'm a tradesman as well. You think I would be the one that does that? But no. I'm a gentleman and a scholar. Has your process for preparing for games as a GM, has it changed much since you first started, or is it still basically the same?
I would say it has. Like, I still remember prepping for the first session of the Weather Witching Hour, like sitting on the plane on the way to Melbourne with like my criminal psychology notes, because I had the whole row to myself. I had my criminal psychology notes to my right with like the textbook open, and then I had Beware the Witching Hour on the left, and I had like 2 lots of sticky tabs, and I was just going through and sticky tabbing stuff, and the flight attendant was like, "Oh my god, this is so interesting, what are you studying?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm studying a little bit about this," and then I held up the page with like the goblin, and then I'm also studying the lore of criminal psychology. And she looked at me super weirdly and kept walking, and I was like, honestly, same.
Were the police waiting for you on the tarmac when you arrived, or?
Honestly, no, and I'm very glad for that, because I had so much to do that day. It was ridiculous.
I thought you were going to say you had something hidden in your boogie board or something like that. I don't know. I'm glad that's where that went.
No, I had like, it was like my first big uni exam too, so there was so much happening that day. It was like a big 60% exam, so I was freaking out. But yeah, like I used to be so pedantic about planning, and then I ran the first episode and it just went entirely out the window, and I'm like, I see now why we don't plan so hard. Because the players just kind of, like, I think the flow of it's so interesting. Like, it just kind of feels like a magic force just pulling you along, and everything just kind of ends up right, and it ends up sounding good. Like, as I said, it's become dot points, rather than, like, descriptively written out, like, syntheses in the back of my uni book. You know, it's definitely changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I find that my system has changed as well a lot, from when I first started DMing to now. I'm still experimenting and, you know, trying to find the right balance between preparation and making things up on the fly. I found myself, you know, being caught out every now and then with the information that I needed to have in order to progress the story not available to me at the time. What it really is about, I guess, is finding a way that works for you and finding a way that is easy. The easiest way to have the information available should it become necessary is what preparation is all about in D&D. It's not about the volume of the content, it's about how easy it is for you to access. So if you have line after line after line of just, you know, scripts, when someone, you know, asks about something, if you need to like dive into like a textbook worth of stuff to find what you need, it just disrupts the whole flow of the thing, and you're better off just making it up on the spot. And
agreed.
That's what makes running a campaign out of a book so difficult as well. If you're the kind of person, you know, who likes to keep that role play flowing, is someone will ask you a question, you don't want to stop what's going on, especially if you're like on a roll. You don't want to stop everything to go to the index page of the book, find what you're after, flip the page, and it'll say find more information on this page, and you flip to that, and you go back and forth. Is you want to have that right balance between, preparation and having that information available to you when you need it. So I'm still experimenting with that myself, and I think that's probably a process that's never ending.
No, I agree. I feel like the books almost aren't designed with GMs in mind. They're designed with players in mind. Like I say that purely because it's like they're non-linear. Um, like I don't, as you said, if anybody has tried to run a book out of a campaign or campaign out of a book, it is a complete fucking nightmare. Um, while Beyond the Witchlight particularly, the carnival, oh my god. It is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Like those big open world um settings give me the heebie-jeebies as a DM because there's not much railroading happening. It is very player-led in
Mm-hmm.
like the worst way possible to be run out of a book, if that makes any sense. Where it's like the players could just kind of decide to go anywhere and you just need to have that information ready right in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what they choose. Like, the first season of Beware the Witching Hour, I literally said to them, I'm like, here's the list of attractions. Pick 4 for this episode. And then we'll pick another 4 next episode. Because it's just too hard to, like, be flicking from page to page to page. Like, the attractions aren't even numbered. Like, it's not even like, the carousel's number 1, and then the House of Illusions is number 2. It's just you have to find it. And intermingled is like all the juiciness of like the story where it's like, Kettle Steam is here and she's doing this, then you have to do this to make sure that she does this, so they find out that. Like, it's so much flicking back and forth.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times these books are sort of written and designed without logic in mind, because when you try and run it, you try and think about what makes sense, what works logically. You're trying to keep track of where people are and all that kind of stuff. I find that they sort of expect you to cast logic to the side and just be like, and now you come across this thing. It doesn't really make sense logically and how it fits in with the rest of the world around it, but you just sort of say that it's there and everyone just sort of has to accept that. But I find that can be like immersion breaking.
No, I totally agree. Particularly like if you have a map and the map is like laid out, like that's one of the things that I found difficult, as I said, again, just as an example. For Where the Witching Hour, like the way that like the sideshow was supposed to be run was it was like just this massive like marketplace essentially where the players would just walk through and it would be like one attraction. And I was like, that's kind of a crappy way to do it because the players would walk up and they'd be like, oh, what's in this area? And I'd be like, oh, it's a bunch of sideshows. I'll be like, ugh. And then they'll walk past it. So that's why I was like, maybe it should be random encounter based where it kind of pops up magically. I mean, it's a magic carnival.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't it just fold out of oblivion? Because then it kind of forces the players to put stock into those things that you wouldn't normally like stop to do on a quest. Like, I don't know about you, but if there's something inconsequential in the campaign and I'm like really into the campaign, I'm like, let's just skip it and go to like the thing that I actually want to do. But those little things can create such cool interactions. So I was like, how can I force them to do it?
And you certainly did that, but like I love those inconsequential things. I can spend an hour examining something that makes no difference. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. There was a whole scene in the first episode of Beware the Witching Hour, and we came back with that after the break, which was just conversations between characters. That was little more than just creating those bonds between characters in order to make it feel more natural, and to allow the people, watching at home or at the office, if you're watching this at work, to get a little bit of a better idea about these characters that we spent so long sort of coming up with. It didn't really make any difference to the story, and it was one of those things that I sort of suggested that we do. And when we did, I remember you saying like, I love this. I love just sitting back and just
Yeah.
watching you guys play. So how did that first episode back go for you? Did it go at all like you had planned? Is there anything that you would have done differently, or?
Ooh. It definitely, I think it went how I went planned in essence. Like in the main idea of it, it went how I went planned, but it never goes how I want it to be planned. Because if it did, it would be very fucking boring for everybody except for me. So, like it went pretty much how I had planned. As I said, I just had dot points about what I wanted to happen. And the first episode is also always super railroady because I'm just trying to get you to like the beat of the story. Like, you know, the first episode is like the entree. I'm trying to get you to the main course as fast as possible. But that's just how I play D&D.
Yep.
Is, you know, I'm not here for snacks. I'm here for the beef. Like, so it definitely went how I thought it was gonna go, and I was so happy that you were like, let's just have a minute to chat. And I was like, you know what, we should probably build these characters because otherwise no one's gonna like them, and then it's gonna be way less devastating when they die. So
Yeah, make people
you know,
fall in love with them. See, now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was a fantastic episode. Everyone had a blast. Like I said, we hit those story points I think that we wanted to hit, but there was a lot of chaos crammed in between every single, you know, story driven moment, which I think is probably going to be a running theme with the campaign as we all sort of get to know each other a little bit more, become a little bit more comfortable with each other and the environment in which we're playing. I think we'll sort of find our groove a little bit more, and we'll become more aware of each other's, you know, role-playing sort of methods, and we'll be able to bounce off each other's a little bit more, and we'll be able to sort of narrow down a little bit how we progress the story from one scene to another scene. But that being said, it was an absolutely phenomenal episode, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. I love playing with you guys, and you know, I look forward to being able to jump on with you guys again very, very soon for the next episode. But that being said, it is 9:55. I think we should go for a short break. For those people who are watching this on YouTube or listening to this on whatever podcast provider it becomes available on in the future, this will be the end of part one of this episode. Stick with us for part two. We've got more coming up. So yeah, for those who are watching this live, stick with us. We'll be back very, very soon.